choosing the best e-foil for you, not for me, not for anyone else, but choosing the best e-foil for you and your circumstances, your needs, and your wants. This video is more of a podcast rather than a video because the audio is more important, or even the text, which will be available in the video description. And hopefully also available on my website, efoillakepowell.com. I've had the domain for a while. I just haven't had the time to do anything with it. The text may also evolve compared to the audio, as there may be some things that I'll miss or suggestions from other people to add to the list. I have a list of about 30 things to go over, and it may likely grow. So if you have any suggestions, please add them in the comments, and I will modify the list to include everything. But my hope is that this list will remain relevant into the future, so I won't get into big detail or pictures about individual brands because that's going to change in the future. So if you'd like to just simply skip to the list and skip this intro, you can jump ahead to time mark 6 minutes, 23 seconds. Otherwise, stick around for the intro. And if you're watching, you can enjoy the background of beautiful Lake Powell, or if you're in your car or doing some dishes, you can listen. So excuse me while I use this outline to help me stay on task, because there's a lot to go through. Gone are the days when e-foils were made specifically for pro surf enthusiasts, wealthy coastal dwellers, and yacht owners. Gone are also the days of being limited to only 2 choices of e-foil brands. Competition and innovation in the e-foil community has provided greater choice in the e-foil industry as a whole. There are now greater price ranges starting as low as $6,000 US. There are many styles and features to fit almost anyone. Coast to coast, lake to lake, river to river, there is now something for everyone who wishes to have the freedom to play on whatever body of water they have access to. Look at me as an example. I am a busy, big family dad. I live in one of the most remote places in the continental 48, but it's also one of the most visited. Beautiful Lake Powell. It's like a lake on Mars. I would say it's the most beautiful lake in the universe. So social media can help a lot. Getting opinions from other people can help a lot, but it's going to help more if you come prepared, giving people an idea of what you need, what you want, what your limitations are, etc. So this list is not in any particular order. You can arrange it in whatever order is going to be best for your purposes and your preferences. And just so you know, a response and rearrangement of all 30 points on this list will not be necessary. A response to just 5 or 10 things should be enough to narrow down your choice to just one, at most maybe 2 different e-foils. Sometimes a response to just 1 point on this list will narrow your choice down to 1 e-foil. For example, maybe your priority is to choose an e-foil from a dealer close to you. If there's only 1 dealer and 1 choice, well, that's your choice. This list is intended to be as unbiased as possible. And again, I hope it's relevant into the future as innovation progresses. The list is made for standing hydrofoil, e-foil surfboards such as mine here on the right, but it could potentially be used to help you narrow down even some alternative ones, such as ones that are more scooter-like with handlebars or anything else. So this list can potentially help you in the alternative e-foil personal watercrafts as well. And in the description of the video and in the comments, I'll try to keep an updated list of all of the businesses worldwide that you can order an e-foil from, established businesses that have been around, and not some hokey off-brand from Alibaba or something like that. Before I get into the list, a really important thing is to treat your purchase of an e-foil the same way you would treat a purchase of a watercraft or a vehicle, because it is, in fact, in many locations considered just that, a watercraft. It may even technically require registration as a watercraft now or eventually. As you see on the side of mine, I have registration stickers. Another very important thing is to try before you buy. Number 1, demo. Nothing will ever replace trying it out yourself in person. Whenever possible, you should take a test drive or a test flight of the e-foils that interest you. What is right for one person might not necessarily be right for another person. If you've never foiled before, I would recommend taking a lesson as one of your test experiences. And when you test out different e-foils, I would recommend doing your best to use as close to the same size and style of wing as possible, because a lot of the e-foil experience is the wing itself. That's what you're really flying. That's what you're really surfing. That's what's really in the water. The board is going to be above the water. So as you're trying out different e-foils, do your best to try to use the same size and same style of wing as close as possible when trying out different e-foils to give you the best comparison possible. And when you take a lesson, you can start with the biggest board. Bigger boards are better for beginners, and then you can buy a board that's going to be more nimble and easier to carry. You can size down after you've learned how to fly. Whether or not you have access to try before you buy, this list will help you choose the best fit for you. But all this said, might I offer a little relief for the potential stress of making a choice? You're bound to have a magical experience on any e-foil from any established brands you choose, especially if you are new to foiling in general. This list is not in any particular order. You may place higher emphasis, need, or desire in certain features than other people. Number 1, budget. What is your budget? As we continue with this list, I want you to think not only the e-foil itself, but about the accessories you might want or need to go along with it, now and in the future, such as additional wings, for an example. Be willing to stretch your budget a little bit to fit these accessories and other things you need, such as a life jacket or a helmet, additional wings, and a carry case, a bag, if it is not already included in the price. Also consider deals that might be available in wintertime and off-season, and also Black Friday. Now that there's more competition in the e-foil industry, if you're willing to wait, you might find really good deals during the winter season. Number 2, who will use the e-foil? Is it for you? Will you share it with friends or family? Consider every item of this list for each person collectively and individually as your budget and your circumstances require. Number 3, skill and experience. Think about what skill or experience you presently have, as well as what you intend to build in the future. You want to think of your current experience level, and you want to think of your goals for the future and what you plan to do to progress. As a couple of examples, are you someone who has a need for speed? Do you want a really fast e-foil? Are you someone who is a trick master and you plan to do some jumps or even attempt some flips? If that's the case, then you'll want to have an e-foil that has some foot straps or binding options. Number 4, where will you ride? Will you be riding in the ocean, a lake, a river? You want to think about your water conditions. Will you be riding flat water or catching a ride on swells or waves or wakes? You want to think about travel. Will you travel to different locations with your gear? Maybe you want to travel to an ocean every once in a while, but you live in a lake area like myself. Number 5, compatibility. Consider questions 3 through 4. Is it important that your gear, namely the wings, have greater compatibility with other e-foil disciplines or other e-foil brands? For example, is it important for you to be able to use your wings with your prone surf foiling board or vice versa, your wing foil boards, your kite foil boards? There's many different foil disciplines, and sometimes there will be adapters or ability to swap wings with other brands' third-party wings. And if that's important to you, you want to consider that. Some people will want all-in-one brand. Some brands make equipment for multiple foil disciplines outside of e-foiling. Some surf enthusiasts may prefer the familiarity of just 1 or 2 brands across all disciplines. You may also want to have equipment that's compatible with a jetboard. Maybe you or someone else in your crew likes to ride on the surface of the water more traditionally. There are some brands that have equipment that are interchangeable, such as the battery and the controller, or maybe even an entire interchangeable motor module. Number 6, Brand history. How long has the brand been in the game, and is this important to you? What is their experience and their history? What innovations have they made and continue to make? Improvements, etc. Number 7, a local dealer support. For some people, it's going to be important to choose only brands that are available to them locally in their stores. Number 8, warranty coverage. You want to think about the warranty that's available through the dealer and or through the company itself. Number 9, customer service. If you're using a dealer, you want to think about the customer service of the dealer, also the customer service of the brand itself. Number 10, do you want a unibody or a separate fuselage motor? So using my EFOIL as an example, in the background here, you can see that the motor is a few inches above the bottom where the wing is. There's advantages and disadvantages to having either a unibody or a separate fuselage. The unibody designs, the motor is going to be at the very bottom of the mast, and the wing is going to attach to the front and the back directly to the motor. Some advantages, for example, of the separate design is that there's greater compatibility with other wings from other brands and other foil disciplines, as other foil disciplines will be connecting directly to a mast, such as you see here. One of the advantages of having a unibody design is that you will be able to use the entire length of the mast. So when the motor breaches the surface, that's it. But if the motor is all the way at the bottom, then you'll be able to go a little bit higher. You'll have full range of the length of the mast available to you. So those are just a few examples of the pros and cons of both styles. It's more of just kind of a preference, a very subjective thing, person to person. Talking about mast leads me to number 11, mast length options. Some people will want to have multiple mast length options, or maybe they want to find the longest mast they can or a shorter mast. And there's different pros and cons to that as well. Having a longer mast is going to be better for choppier, bumpy water so that you can easier elevate a bump above the chop and the waves. And shorter masts are going to be better for learning and sometimes can be quicker edge to edge. It's definitely a style and preference thing as well. Thrust type options, propulsion options. Do you want a prop? Do you want a folding or free spin prop specifically for surfing waves? Or are you looking to have a jet or impeller propulsion? Or are you looking for a combination of all of the above? Jet propulsion is new at the moment, and the benefit of the jet propulsion is that the propeller will be completely enclosed, and so there is little to no chance of having any injury from the propeller. But currently you sacrifice some efficiency with jet propulsion methods. Folding props and free spin props, such as with Fliteboard, they have a true glide prop, they call it. These props are special to decrease the resistance so that you can surf waves naturally. Number 13, the sound. Do you require the quietest operation possible, or is some noise okay? But do keep in mind that any EFOIL is going to be far quieter than a jet ski or a gas-powered jetboard. Some are going to be a higher pitch, some are going to be a lower pitch. So depending on what kind of pitch or volume you prefer, that may also sway you on which brand you would like to purchase. However, keep in mind that when you watch videos, the mic on the video doesn't always pick up the sound of the EFOIL naturally as you would here in person, which is another really important reason why you should demo and try out the board in person, especially if volume and noise quality is something high on your list.
Also keep in mind that the propulsion method, such as prop shape, size, folding or non-folding, and even the prop material will all have an effect on not only the performance, but the sound as well.
Number 14, battery size and or range. I had two topics of batteries side by side and I somehow skipped this one, so I'm reshooting it. Battery size and range is something that people ask me all the time. How much is it and how far can you go? So some people might want to explore and go a far distance, and you'll want a larger battery with much more power in order to do so. Otherwise, if you're on the opposite spectrum and you're out on the waves and you're surfing the ocean swell, then you'll want to have a smaller battery so that you have all the nimble and lightweight advantages to do so. Or you might be someone who does all the above. You'll want to have a large battery and a small battery. So battery size options might be really important considering your needs and wants. A larger battery is also going to be beneficial for sharing your e-foil with other people. You'll have enough power for yourself and another person for 2 or more moderate or shorter rides.
Other things that can affect range are the efficiency of the wing, the efficiency of the propeller, the efficiency of the speed of operation, as well as the total weight of the entire setup and rider.
Number 15, safety. Battery safety, materials such as phase-changing material, drop test certifications, water submersion certifications, the quality of the battery management system, and also the personal safety. Is there an auto safety lock to mitigate accidental acceleration, especially for new and beginner riders? Some people will not care about a remote having an auto safety lock. And an auto safety lock is when you power on the remote, you have to use some redundancy safety, such as a long press of a certain button to unlock the feature so that you can press the trigger. Similar to, say, like a safety on a gun.
Other methods of mitigating unintentional acceleration may employ different features, such as a magnetic leash, for example.
Number 16, board material. If you're someone who's a beginner, going to be sharing your board with beginners, and or maybe more of a casual rider, and you want to have a board made out of foam, for example, to have minimal impacts on the body or even minimal impacts to the board itself, you can choose a board that's made out of a soft top material or even an inflatable board. Board material may also be important for considering transportation and how accident prone you consider yourself to be or not to be. Having a foam board is going to be a lot easier to prevent any damage to the board, as the foam material will have some give and will resist some small drops and impacts to and from the board. Otherwise, most people are going to want a carbon fiber board that is not only light, but also extremely responsive for having the response and reaction for getting into turns and carves. Number 17, board size options. Is having multiple board size options important for you now or in the future? Maybe you're searching for a larger board, or you're searching for a smaller board, or a very particular volume and size of board. Also consider such scenarios as taking your dog for a ride, for example. You might want a longer board for room for your dog, or possibly taking a child for a ride, but rider discretion, experience, and safety at your own risk. Number 18, board hull, the bottom features, the shape and the contours. If you're someone who's looking for the most beginner-friendly board possible, you might be looking for some more pronounced bottom features, such as a V-hull to make landings on the water and touchdowns more soft. Other people won't care about board features, and they might prefer something that's more flat on the bottom. Number 19, wing collection and options. Is it important to you now or in the future to have lots of different wing options? And again, this is something that can also go back to our question about compatibility with other brands. Number 20, handheld remote. How does it feel in the hand? How is the acceleration trigger feel? Or maybe it's an accelerator button with your thumb. How do the buttons feel? How many buttons are there? How do the functions work? The display screen. Does the remote in of itself float? Is that important to you? Does it have a lanyard or a hand strap? There's lots of different things to consider in the remote itself. And if you're not enjoying the remote at all, then you're not going to enjoy riding your e-foil. So the remote is a fairly significant part of the e-foil experience. You want to have a remote that you're going to enjoy. But for the most part, all the remotes on the market are going to be pretty functional. Number 21, tech for smart features. Smart features and social features such as being able to share your rides or being able to record your rides and being able to analyze and compare and share those rides with people on social media or with your friends and other EFOIL riders. Some brands will even record the difference between the motor being powered versus the motor being unpowered and surfing a wave naturally if you want to see how long and where you are surfing the waves. If these smart and techie features are important to you, you might want to check out the user interface of the app and program being used. Number 22, ease of assembly and disassembly. Consider how and where you will store your board, transportation, cleaning, and maintenance, whether or not you will be assembling or disassembling your board often. It may be important to you to have a board that is very easy and quick to assemble and disassemble if you will be doing so quite often, or maybe it won't be that important at all and you'll be keeping it mostly or entirely assembled all the time. If you are riding in salt water, you may or may not want to disassemble everything and really meticulously go over every part and clean it. Also, for someone like me in Lake Powell, even though it's fresh water, if you are going to be going into other bodies of water, because there are invasive quagga mussels and zebra mussels, you have to thoroughly clean and drain and dry your watercraft before going into any other bodies of water. Number 23, bags and cases. So again, consider storage and transportation and whether or not you consider yourself to be a careful or maybe less careful person. You might not really need a bag at all, or you might need a minimal bag, or you may desire a really robust and protective case. Again, with going to our first question about budget, is the bag included with the price, or is it something you have to buy extra? Number 24, onboard storage. What kind of storage is there inside the board? Most people are only going to take their wallet and their keys and their cell phone for emergencies. On long rides, on very hot summer days on Lake Powell, I like to put a water bottle inside my board. Again, you can also use some kind of dry bag slung around your waist or your shoulder. Number 25, color, appearance, and customization options. This is definitely one of the most subjective things on the entire list, but it could be a very important thing to you. Maybe the look of the board is your number one preference. Number 26, resale and value. If you're someone who desires to upgrade later, or you plan to sell your board and upgrade every single year, having a board that is easy to resale in your area may or may not be important to you. Also consider the warranty again. Is the warranty something that is transferable to another person? Number 27, affiliate or referral perks. Some brands may have some affiliate or referral programs to give you some perks for spreading the good joys of living life to the foilists. And number 28, do you need these things in this list now, or is it something that you can wait for? Do you have faith in the brand that you've chosen, that they will upgrade or add more features and options that you desire later? Okay, number 29, weight. Do you demand the lightest setup possible? The board size, the board material, and the battery size are all going to have a major impact on the total weight of your setup. 29 blends into our last item on the list, number 30. If you truly demand the lightest setup possible, specifically because you are primarily or exclusively riding waves of the ocean, you may be better off searching for an assistive motor system for your surf foils, such as the current company Foil Drive. They make an assistive motor that you can place anywhere on your mast, and they also make a mast system that has a motor built into it. This is going to give you the absolute lightest and most nimble setup possible, and you'll only use the motor to assist you as you are going from wave to wave and you can actually use it as an e-foil on flat water for a short duration of time. So if that's something that is interesting to you, you may actually consider the assistive motor instead of a designated e-foil. Okay, so that's my 30-point list, and I plan to use this same list reorganized in my personal preferences to do a second review on the foil board on my right. This board was made by getfoil.com or Foil Incorporated. And so please subscribe and like this video and stay tuned for later this year on that review. And then I will also be reviewing this life jacket, which is made by Slippery. It's known as the Slippery Array Side Entry Vest, as well as my green, maybe I can call it my iconic green helmet made by Shred Ready. So I'll do a review of these pieces of gear that I use, as well as other gear such as these shoes. So once again, subscribe and like, and live life to the fullest, no matter which e-foil you choose. It'll be a magical one as you surf and fly on whatever body of water you have access to.